It's a story about a silence that stretches so long it becomes its own language, and about the dangerous comfort that slips in when you no longer being held where you belong. So if you're willing to walk into the quiet corners people avoid talking about, stay with me, because once this begins, it doesn't let go. I met my husband when love felt effortless, the kind that lives in late-night laughter and shared dreams. The kind that makes you believe you'll always be chosen, and for a while, I was truly seen and cherished, but somewhere between raising children and managing life between deadlines, and dinners and responsibilities that never seemed to end, he slowly drifted away without a fight or an argument. Just a quiet retreat, until one day I realized the man beside me was present in body only. Still dependable, still polite, still asking about the kids, but no longer asking about me, as if I had faded into the background of my own life, becoming something functional rather than loved. I stayed home with our children, days blurring together in exhaustion. My emotions dulled except for the moments when loneliness hit so sharply it took my breath away. When I felt like I was disappearing while still standing in plain sight, and I didn't want romance or grand gestures, I wanted presence. I wanted someone to ask how I was and care enough to wait for the answer. And that's where David quietly stepped in, my husband's longtime friend, familiar and trusted, someone who had always been part of the background of our lives, showing up at gatherings, laughing easily, carrying his own loneliness after a divorce he never fully healed from, and at first his kindness felt harmless, even welcome, helping with things around the house, checking in, listening when I spoke, really listening. And slowly I noticed how different it felt to be heard, how his attention warmed places inside me that had gone cold, how his eyes lingered not with hunger but with understanding. And I told myself it was nothing, because I needed to believe that, even as the house around me felt emptier each night, clean and quiet and lifeless once the kids were asleep, leaving me alone with a silence that screamed, "The night the storm cut the power, everything shifted." The darkness, making the house feel vulnerable, the wind rattling the walls. And when David showed up, soaked from the rain with groceries and a flashlight, it felt like relief wrapped in kindness to people sitting by candlelight, talking not about small things, but about invisibility. About carrying everything alone, about what it feels like to give endlessly without being met halfway. And nothing inappropriate happened, not a word or a touch crossed a line. Yet when he rested his hand on my shoulder before leaving, just a moment too long, my body reacted before my mind could catch up, remembering what tenderness felt like, and afterward I lay awake drowning in guilt over something that hadn't even happened. Questioning myself because wanting to feel seen suddenly felt like betrayal. After that night, everything lived in the unspoken, in glances held a beat too long, in visits that had reasons attached but meanings underneath. In the way he made time for my children and for me, and I started taking care of myself again, convincing myself it was for me while secretly hoping someone would notice, and the more he stayed, the more dangerous the kindness became. Because kindness without boundaries slowly becomes hope, and hope in the wrong place can destroy you. The night my husband was delayed and the kids were away, the house felt different, softer, the quiet, no longer lonely but intimate, and sitting beside David, laughter filling the space where sadness used to live. The air shifted, heavy with something neither of us named, and when he leaned in, slowly giving me every chance to stop it, I didn't move. Because in that moment the ache of years went silent, replaced by warmth and closeness and the terrifying relief of being wanted, until the door opened and reality crashed back in. My husband standing there soaked and silent, his eyes reflecting a kind of hurt words could never touch, and without saying anything he left. And in that instant I knew nothing would ever be the same. David followed soon after, disappearing not just from the room, but from my life entirely, leaving me standing in the wreckage of choices made in quiet moments, and the silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was heavy and sharp, filled with questions I couldn't answer and explanations I couldn't give. And as days passed, the absence grew louder, my husband unreachable, David gone without a word, whispers spreading through a community that once felt safe, friends pulling away, judgment filling the spaces where support should have been, and I was left alone to face the truth I had avoided for so long. That I didn't betray my marriage because love vanished overnight, but because neglect eroded me slowly, because being unseen starves something essential inside you, and when someone finally offers you warmth, you don't always have the strength to walk away. And I learned the hardest lesson of all, that being noticed by the wrong person doesn't heal what's broken. It only exposes the cracks, and once the moment passes and the doors close, you're left not with comfort but with the echo of everything you were missing all along.